After the work of the panel is finished, it is likely we will place some of the more popular ideas discussed with the panel to a provincial referendum so that all Albertans can vote on them sometime in 2026.
You know that moment when you realize something you thought was just talk actually became real? That's exactly what just happened in Alberta, and honestly, I'm still processing how fast this moved from theory to action. May 5th, 2025. Premier Danielle Smith goes live. Not a press conference, a live stream. Direct to Albertans, and she drops this.
Our government will not be putting a vote on separation from Canada on the referendum ballot.
Everyone breathes. Crisis averted, right? But then she keeps going.
However, if there is a successful citizen-led referendum petition that is able to gather the requisite number of signatures requesting such a question to be put on a referendum, our government will respect the democratic process and include that question on the 2026 provincial referendum ballot as well.
And just like that, the door swung wide open. Albertans have always been loyal, proud, and generous Canadians. We love Canada. That's how she started. But what came next was 10 minutes of grievances that sounded less like a premier defending Confederation and more like a province preparing to leave it. The vast majority of these individuals are not fringe voices to be marginalized or vilified. They are loyal Albertans. They are, quite literally, our friends and neighbors who've just had enough of having their livelihoods and prosperity attacked by a hostile federal government. They're frustrated, and they have every reason to be. Here's what people outside Alberta don't understand. This wasn't a surprise, this was calculated. Because 1 week earlier, one day after Mark Carney's Liberals won their fourth consecutive federal election, Smith's government tabled Bill 54, and Bill 54 changed everything. It slashed the signature requirement for citizen-initiated referendums from nearly 600,000 down to 177,000. That's 10% of eligible voters from the last election, and they got 120 days to collect them instead of 90. 177,000 people. That's roughly 3.5% of Alberta's population. That's the number of signatures needed to force a separation referendum designed to take 5 million people and their land out of Canada. The speech comes after hundreds of people rallied at the Alberta legislature Saturday to support seceding from Canada, with some saying they were prompted by federal election results that saw the Liberals win their fourth consecutive term. I was watching those rallies. Hundreds showed up in person, more online, and they weren't fringe activists. They were families, oil workers, farmers, people who'd voted Liberal their whole lives until Ottawa spent a decade killing their industry. We have the most abundant and accessible natural resources of any country on Earth, and yet we landlock them, sell what we do produce to a single customer to the south of us, while enabling polluting dictatorships. Smith said Liberal rule turned Canada into an international laughingstock. And in Alberta, that line didn't sound dramatic. It sounded accurate. But here's where this story takes a turn nobody saw coming. The Alberta Prosperity Project, the main separatist group, submitted their referendum question in the summer. Their question was clear. Do you agree that the province of Alberta shall become a sovereign country and cease to be a province in Canada? Simple, direct, yes or no. But Alberta's chief electoral officer, Gordon McClure, referred it to the courts. He said he was just following the rules. Under the existing Citizen Initiative Act, referendum questions couldn't contravene the Constitution, specifically the Charter of Rights and Treaty Rights, so the question sat in court. Lawyers argued, First Nations intervened, Treaty 6, 7, and 8 First Nations all filed for intervener status, saying Alberta independence would violate sacred treaties signed with the Crown before Alberta even became a province. Chief Troy Knowlton of the Piikani Nation was direct. This is treaty country. Any talk of separation is really insanity because there is no pathway to separation. And for months, it looked like the courts might kill the whole thing. Then December 4th, 2025 happened. The Alberta government tabled Bill 14, the Justice Statutes Amendment Act. And this bill didn't just tweak the rules, it dismantled every legal barrier standing between Alberta and a separation vote. Bill 14 removed the requirement that referendum questions can't contravene the Constitution. It transferred power from the chief electoral officer to the justice minister to decide which questions proceed, and it included an amendment to discontinue any court proceeding brought by the chief electoral officer. Let me repeat that. It ended the court case, mid-hearing. Justice Minister Mickey Amery was blunt about it.
Albertans have expressed, I think, a concern with those seeking that independence be piggybacked on the work of the Forever Canadian petition, or Forever Canada petition, I should say. If those seeking independence believe that they have the support for it, this is their chance to prove it. This is their chance to demonstrate it. And we believe that they should earn the ability to put that question to Albertans by going through the rigors of the process described in the Act. That means collecting the requisite number of signatures and filing the appropriate paperwork and the fees to do so. By permitting it, again, to proceed, they'll have the opportunity to do the work without piggybacking off the hard work of a petition that is unrelated to it, I would say so.
If those seeking independence believe that they have the support for it, this is their chance to prove it. The next day, December 5th, the judge released his ruling anyway. Justice Colin Feasby said the referendum question violated the Constitution Act, contravened charter and treaty rights, and couldn't proceed under the existing law. But he also had sharp words for the government. Legislating to preemptively end this court proceeding disrespects the administration of justice. It didn't matter. 6 days later, on December 10th, the UCP-dominated legislature passed Bill 14. The next day, December 11th, at 11 a.m., it received royal assent. The court ruling became irrelevant. The legal barriers were gone. And 1 hour after royal assent, the Alberta Prosperity Project walked into the office of the Chief Electoral Officer and filed a new application. Their CEO, Mitch Sylvester, issued a statement. Royal assent for Bill 14 today is the breakthrough we've fought for. It's game on for Alberta's independence. This question empowers every citizen to vote yes for a brighter, sovereign future. Their lawyer, Jeffrey Rath, celebrated being first in line. We were very confident that we were going to win in court. Now, with Bill 14 proposed, the province has cleared further obstacles to citizen-driven referendum questions, and our very strong and growing Alberta independence movement has a clear path towards success. And here's the part that should terrify Ottawa. They're not starting from zero. The Alberta Prosperity Project claims over 60,000 official members. That's more than the governing United Conservative Party itself. They say they have over 250,000 people who've already pledged online to sign the petition, and they only need 177,000 official signatures. Bill 14 requires the group to submit a notice of intention and wait 30 days to file the official application. Signature collection will begin in late January or early February 2026. Rath told media they're aiming for 1 million signatures. 1 million. They want to bury Thomas Lukaszuk's anti-separation Forever Canadian petition, which got 456,000 signatures. Their plan? Reach out to the 300,000 Albertans who pledged online. Set up collection areas across the province, conduct door-to-door campaigns, and hold 100 town halls a month. 100 town halls per month. This isn't a fringe movement anymore. This is infrastructure. This is organization. This is a political machine operating at scale. And the referendum question they refiled? It's been refined to align with the Federal Clarity Act. Do you agree that Alberta shall cease to be a province in Canada and become an independent state? That wording matters, because Section 1.3 of the Clarity Act says the House of Commons shall consider whether a referendum question would result in a clear expression of the will of the population of a province on whether the province should cease to be part of Canada and become an independent state. They're not asking if Alberta should explore options. They're asking if Alberta should leave, period. Now, support in Alberta and Saskatchewan for their respective province to leave Confederation is still a minority. 36% in Alberta, 34% in Saskatchewan, and those minorities shrink when assessing how serious the support is. Few in Alberta, 19%, or Saskatchewan, 15%, say they would definitely vote to leave were a referendum to be held. But here's what the polls don't capture. Momentum. An Abacus poll in June found weak support, just 18% for the separation question. 69% answered no. But that was before Bill 54, before Bill 14, before the Alberta Prosperity Project had a clear legal path, before signature collection started, and Smith knows this. That's why she launched the Alberta Next panel. She'll chair a series of town halls to hear ideas and grievances from Albertans, and she's promised to put some of the more popular ideas to a provincial referendum in 2026. It is likely we will place some of the more popular ideas discussed with the panel to a provincial referendum so that all Albertans can vote on them sometime in 2026. Translation? The 2026 ballot won't just have the separation question if it qualifies. It'll have other questions designed to channel Western anger into actionable demands. Smith is playing both sides. Publicly, she says, "I do not support Alberta separating from Canada," but her actions tell a different story. Bill 54 lowered the threshold. Bill 14 removed the legal barriers. And her Alberta Next panel is building a platform for separatist voices to be heard and legitimized. UCP President Rob Smith was less subtle. When asked about a path to independence or becoming the 51st state, he replied, "Please read her announcement. It's in there." At least one UCP MLA is openly supportive. Red Deer South MLA Jason Steffen told reporters it would be a healthy democratic process for Albertans to vote on separation. "I want Albertans to understand the truth of how badly we have been treated over the past number of years." First Nations are furious. The Confederacy of Treaty Number 6 First Nations issued a statement. "It seems while we were in court defeating the separatism question, the Premier was pressured by UCP members to quickly bring in Bill 14, changing the rules and removing those protections. This bill was created on behalf of a loud minority with no respect for Albertans or the treaty relationship, and it guarantees the separatism question will be asked again." Chief Greg Desjardins was blunt. Bill 14 removes safeguards ensuring citizen initiative petitions cannot breach Sections 1 to 35 of the Constitution Act, 1982, and enables ballot questions that disregard Albertans' charter and treaty rights. But the Alberta Prosperity Project isn't slowing down. If anything, they're accelerating. Their fiscal blueprint claims that between 2025 and 2045, an independent Alberta would generate direct revenue of $4.71 trillion, save up to $678.5 billion, generate 300,000 to 450,000 jobs, and add $1.3 to $1.4 trillion to the Heritage Fund. They're promising zero income tax by 2030, massive infrastructure investment, energy production freed from federal constraints, and direct trade with the United States without Ottawa's interference. And here's the kicker. Washington's been listening. The Commonwealth of Alberta delegation went to Washington twice in 2025, in April and again in October. They met with Trump administration officials. Dr. Dennis Modry, former CEO of the Alberta Prosperity Project, claimed they discussed a $500 million transition loan to help Alberta separate. He said the first thing officials told them when they walked into the conference room was, "We recognize and support Alberta becoming the sovereign nation for the first time." Whether that's true or exaggerated doesn't matter as much as the perception, because Albertans now believe that if they vote yes, the United States will recognize them, and that changes everything. So here's where we are. January 2026, signature collection begins. The Alberta Prosperity Project needs 177,000 signatures. They claim they already have 250,000 pledges. They're aiming for 1 million. The referendum, if it qualifies, will be on the ballot sometime in 2026. Likely October, before Alberta's scheduled 2027 provincial election. And if it passes, Ottawa is legally forced to negotiate under the Clarity Act. The only question left is the one everyone's whispering. Do they actually do it this time? Because for the first time in Canadian history, it's not impossible. The legal path is clear, the infrastructure is built, the momentum is building, and the exit, it's closer than anyone thought.